Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Sorry it's been so long since I've posted anything. I've been really busy, but as you can see, I've got the race car up on the lift. Racing season starts soon. I figured I'd go over a couple of things, show you guys what I'm going to be doing. So I decided to put the car up on the lift yesterday, drained all the fluids. I've still got the power steering fluid to get the rest of the way out. This is actually a power steering cooler that I added last year because I was going through so many pumps and racks. I decided to really cool it down. Ended up having a great season without any power steering issues last year after that. This is my oil cooler. I've got the CSF radiator. That thing's been keeping the car way cooler than it's really ever been. I haven't really went over a lot of the changes that I did make to this car when I went from spec to ST4. I did kind of, steps at a time, but overall, let's talk about it. I went with the Z1 Motorsport, larger calipers. They're basically the Akabonos. I've got CARBOTECH XP24 pads in the front, and believe it or not, even though they have this much pad left in them, to me they're almost worn out. If they just get down another 2 millimeters, I'm going to probably be replacing them. I like a very responsive pedal, and the further the brake pads get worn down, the less responsive it is. I actually have knockback springs in all the pistons in the front end as well, so I really like a nice solid pedal feel, and I'm still jiggling the pedal with my left foot going down the straights to make sure I don't have that knockback. But brakes are kind of everything. I wish that they had some sort of a kit to push these calipers down here like the NISMO ones are. It would definitely help with knockback, but really that's kind of the best scenario if they could do something like that. But these brakes so far have been excellent for me. I did have to grind them down to be able to make it so it fit inside the 18-inch wheel. But yeah, that's part of racing, I guess. Looks like my air ducts got all torn up. But at the end of last year, I ended up putting this air duct down here, and it worked out good, so I'm going to do the same thing with this side. I've got the JRZ three-way suspension with the larger pistons and a couple different trick things that they did to these so that they're a very, very good stout suspension. I've been very pleased with that suspension. It on longer races, man, it just hangs in there and keeps doing what it's supposed to do, so they've been pretty fantastic. Underneath the car, all the bushings are NISMO, otherwise they might even be hemispherical or whatever. So these are the upgraded lower control arms. I've got the upgraded lower compression arms with the better bushings in these. My steering feel is very tight, very responsive, so I really like that. Got some of these Z1 control arms back here so that I can make some adjustments to my alignment a little bit better. I've got the NISMO three-way adjustable rear sway bar. I've got the NISMO three-way adjustable front sway bar. I've got the NISMO 1.5-way Pro Diff. I've got that set to medium right now. I've got a diff pump and a diff cooler right here. This is a newer CD009 transmission. I've got the short shift. That's really nice to have. It's a chassis mounted short shift. These right here all beat up. I've got holes torn in both of the downpipes, so those are going to be gone. I've got some new DC headers that I'm going to be putting on the motor. So I'm actually dropping the motor right now because I have a check engine code that started popping up on me. It said that it was cam sensors. I've replaced all the cam sensors, the crank sensors. I even rewired part of the harness and it just didn't work. So either my harness is going bad or the ECU is going bad. I've got another ECU, but I'd have to tune it. So I figured I would replace the wiring harness for now. I bought a new wiring harness. It's just over here in this box. So I'm gonna pull out this wiring harness, and it's the whole engine wiring harness, so I figured it'd actually be easier to just drop the engine, replace the headers, replace that harness, clean some things up, put it all back together. My old exhaust, it's been beat up pretty bad. The hanger broke, and I ended up having to use some of this stuff to be able to hold it up through nationals. And then my Y pipe's all broken, so I'm going to re-weld that. But I've got some new, down pipes and headers and stuff like that are coming. Got a lot of work to do in front of me. I actually purchased a new carbon fiber rear trunk lid as well. That rear trunk lid weighs quite a bit. So I figured if it's in carbon, even if it's 15, 20 pounds, I can put that 15 to 20 pounds lower in the chassis, kind of wherever I want it. I've got everything really dialed in on this car with weight balance and all that stuff right now. So I'm not gonna, I'll probably try to keep the weight further back in the car, or maybe just passenger side footwell. You can kind of adjust the way that the weight's distributed in the car when it's in the center of the car better than almost anywhere. But to get some of that weight from the top end of the car further down into the chassis is going to really help. The way that the car feels going through the corners might help the car with corners just in general, maybe get a little bit more time out of the car just, you know, over the course of an entire race. Maybe not very noticeable each lap, but who knows, it'll still be kind of nice to do. And then one of the other things that I'm thinking about doing is right now this car is set up as an ST4 car. I'm thinking about trying to get it to possibly run ST3 as well. I have a motor being built. They were supposed to have it done. I'm supposed to be racing the end of this month. They're supposed to have it done like 2 months ago. Of course, it's not done, kind of like always. You hope for something, you plan for it in time, and it ends up not happening. I was really hoping to drop the motor and put the new motor in the car, but that's not going to happen. The new motor is supposedly getting some custom cams and custom cam gearing and stuff like that from Jim Wolf Technologies. The motor's being built down in Southern California, so it should push more power, but the point is to build a motor that can push more power through the whole power band and then just chop off the peak so that I have a more linear power band, kind of like the BMWs have. If that's what I would have had in this car at Nationals, I no doubt would have won that race. So I know that this car, the chassis setup, everything is fantastic. I do think it's better chassis overall than the BMWs. I think I proved how good this chassis is at Nationals just by being as competitive as I was, even though the second we hit an apex, they could just pull away from me. Even on the smaller straights, they could just pull and pull and pull, and it was really difficult to keep up. But once I get that motor done, I'll be able to run ST4 top notch. It might even push enough power to where I could run ST3 if I'm able to take a little bit more weight out of this car, and then I could also even, you know, probably run slicks or something like that. So we've got a really good ST3 field here. The national champion in ST3 is here. So it'd be fun to be able to race against those guys, but we also have a good ST4 field. So depending on what the field looks like on the weekend, I could go back and forth between ST3 and ST4. I'm not sure if that's really something that's going to be possible, but it just all depends on how that motor performs when we get it put in the car. Hopefully it's done pretty soon, but I'm not going to plan on it. I'm just going to try to get this motor out. I'm going to try to replace that wiring harness and fix that check engine code. That check engine code probably did pull about, you know, 10 horsepower out of the car. It derates things, it pulls timing. So at Nationals, I think I was also dealing with that. The check engine code started right before Nationals. I tried to do everything I could to fix it, but I've just had to deal with it. So hopefully replacing this harness fixes that issue. If not, it's got to be in the ECU. Like I said, I've got another one. I'll just have to get it retuned, or maybe I can somehow get them to copy whatever is on this ECU and put it on the other one. But that's kind of where I'm at. It's kind of exciting to get the car torn apart and look into things, but yeah, a lot of work. Wish me luck, and I'll give you guys an update later.